How's it going, everybody? Who we got in the chat down there? Let's see. We've got Kevin. Hi, Kevin. We got Stefan. Good to see you. I'm glad you came by to hear about what's been going on this month of July in the archaeological world and the ancient historical world. When I share with you the latest discoveries, I'm going to be sharing both the things that have been newly found in the ground, but also things that have been studied, things that were already found in the ground that studies have come out about this month that reveals, some new things about those discoveries. Hey there, Jim. Well, just a reminder before I get started that this channel is audience supported, and usually these live streams are an opportunity for people to show their support with a super thanks or a super sticker or one of the supers. So if you want to help us out, it would be much appreciated. Yeah. So this is a monthly live stream for those of you who are new. We do it every month. We talk about all the latest discoveries, and it helps to show, not only to keep you informed, but also to show that archaeology is constantly learning new things. We find new things all the time. And in history, ancient history, we find new things all the time, and we're constantly updating history. It never stays the same. All right. Well, let's start with our first discovery that I want to share with you. And this is from China at the site of Sanxingdui. Maybe you've heard of it before. It's one of the more famous current archaeological sites in China. They've been digging there for quite a while. And this is a site associated with the ancient kingdom of Shu, S-H-U, kingdom of Shu, which lasted from about, well, we're still trying to figure out when it began. And these sites are shedding some light on that. But we know it was there by the 11th century BCE. So it's pretty old. And it lasted until about the 4th century BCE when it was conquered by the Qin Dynasty, which is when China was, around the time China was united for the first time. All right, so archaeologists have uncovered a jade and stone processing site that dates back over 3,400 years. So this is actually earlier than what I just told you. Okay. Yeah, because they're finding things that are older than the 11th century. This would be the 15th century, apparently. And this is now, we're talking about Western China. Okay, Western China. It's in the Sichuan province. And I'm going to be going there, by the way, in September. Yeah, there's a big museum there. You can see the archaeological site. So I will be going there. I'll be taking video for you, and it's going to be appearing in the next season 5 of the Antiquities Travel Guide. And in case you haven't watched the Antiquities Travel Guide, maybe you like the other stuff, and you might like the controversial stuff. But the Antiquities Travel Guide is our flagship series on the channel. It's one I put the most effort into, and most people who watch it really enjoy it. So if you haven't seen it yet, give it a watch. We got the current season airing right now. That's the one from Turkey. So hopefully you like that one. Anyway, they found all kinds of jade and stone objects at Sanxingdui already. However, they didn't know where it came from, and now they found this processing site. Right? They found blanks, waste, fragments, and completed products among the recently discovered artifacts at the site, providing proof of a comparatively full early handicraft production chain. Initial analyses indicate that the location was a workshop for stone and jade. Now, they still have to do some study on it to make sure and verify that the objects that they have found at Sanxingdui came from this workshop, but it makes sense if it did. Okay. It's the first handicraft workshop discovered at the site. The other major site near here from the Kingdom of Shu is Jinsha, and I'll be going there too on our trip. So yeah, so I thought you'd be interested in this particular one. Let's see, we've got some comments. Greetings from Portugal. Good to see you. Sobek says, keep up the great work. Dr. Miano just popped in to say hello. Got to run working on video stuff. All right, Jason. Jason Hickey says, hello from Boston. Enigma Seeker's here, plugging his own work, as usual. Mr. Anonymous. The Antiquities Travel Guide videos are literally my favorite thing on the internet. Whoa! Everyone should check them out. They're incredible. It's like going there yourself. Thank you so much, Mr. Anonymous. I appreciate the kind words. All right. Let's take a look at another one from Kansas. Hello, Mond. Kansas is not boring. Let's look at the next thing I want to share with you, which is stunning ancient Egyptian artifacts discovered in more than 60 burials, including bauberds and Eye of Horus. So these are grave goods, 63 different burials, all right? And you can see some of the objects here. This is from the city of Damietta. This is in the Delta region of Egypt. And what makes this kind of significant is that the Delta, because it is so watery, okay, and has flooded so many times. It's, you know, where all the branches of the Nile are, just all, you know, water everywhere. Many of the ancient ruins, the Egyptian ruins, have been completely destroyed by the water. So when we find things in the Delta, it's a good discovery, right? So they found burials of more than 60 people, along with bronze coins and gold foil figurines. Some of the graves date to the 26th dynasty, 688 to 525 BC, while others appear to date to the Ptolemaic period, which is a bit after that. The discoveries include pottery and Shabti figurines, which were meant to work for the deceased in the afterlife. Yeah, the researchers zeroed in on the 38 bronze coins. The coins date to the Ptolemaic period. Thomas Foucher, the director of the Center for Alexandrian Studies in Egypt, who was not involved in this research, did say something about it. He says it appears that many of the coins are engraved with the head of Zeus Ammon. And who is Zeus Ammon? Well, the Egyptians worshipped Amun, okay, Ammon by this period. And the Greeks, who ended up taking over, they associated the chief god of Egypt, Amun, with their chief god, Zeus, and they made a combination deity, Zeus Ammon, and that's what they're talking about here. Based on these details, Foucher dated the coins to the late 3rd century BC. You can see them right there. Yeah. So hopefully they'll be finding some more stuff at Damietta. Egypt is constantly producing new material. I mean, we're discovering new material all the time. Okay, let's look at another one here. Pompei. Now, I don't know if you know this or not, but Pompei is still undergoing excavation. You probably thought it was all done. No. There are new things being found at Pompei still. And so we've been hearing some recent news about it. I think I shared something from it last month or the month before. A Roman tomb reveals the existence of an unknown imperial position in Hispania. So here's part of the tomb, as you can see here. Work to create a functional air chamber to evacuate moisture from the underground spaces of the San Paolino building, the new headquarters of the library of the Archaeological Park. Okay, so again, this is an accidental discovery. They happen from time to time. So they were clearing out the moisture, and they found this tomb of an important military official who served under the Emperor Augustus, the first emperor of Rome, during his last wars of conquest in Spain. Okay, so we learn a little bit about the historical situation from an inscription in the tomb. It tells us of this guy's career. So we're finding out what they were doing at the time in Spain from this inscription. Yeah, and down here, the construction revealed the two ends of a semicircular tomb known as a scola tomb. They are composed of a semicircular volcanic tufa stone bench with terminals shaped like lion paws. That's the type of tomb. They found a sizable inscription with remnants of the original red paint inside. Okay, and you can see it close up here, part of it. Isn't that neat? And then they have the translation. So here it is in Latin, and then they have an English translation here. To Numerius Agrestinus, son of Numerius, just knight, military tribune, prefect of the Atragoni, prefect of engineers, twice Doomvir by the jurisdiction that is the holder of the highest magistracy in the city of Pompei. The burial place was given by decree of the city council. Okay, now what's interesting about this is there's this title, Prefectus Antrigonum, that's prefect of the Antrigoni, right? The Antrigones were a people from the northern regions of the Iberian Peninsula where Augustus was engaged in the Cantabrian Wars. Okay, so we didn't know about this position, that the Romans had this position. It's a new discovery as far as a position that an official could have, and that's the position that this guy had. So that's pretty cool. Oh, you can see underneath the building there. Here we see the emergence of the network of power that connected the elites of the empire, whose members were asked to commit themselves in conflict areas with the promise of economic rewards, but above all, of social prestige in the community of residents. Yeah, so I thought that was a pretty interesting discovery as well. We've got some more comments here. Let's see. Oh, Rad, thank you for the donation. Very much. Appreciate that. Let's see. Rumor has it that a female archaeologist found Cleopatra's tomb. Can you confirm or deny? There was a female archaeologist and her team working near Alexandria, and they were looking for Cleopatra's tomb in this temple. They went underneath it. They found some things, but not Cleopatra's tomb, unfortunately. So it was a bust. Well, it wasn't a complete bust because they found other things, but they didn't find Cleopatra's tomb. Yeah, she was from she was from a country in South America, Central America. I can't remember, but from the Americas anyway. Lots of foreign archaeologists work in Egypt. They get permission and then they work on a site. So you'll see lots of different foreign teams working there. Oops, I forgot to turn off my phone dinger. Were the bronze coins used as currency, or were they just kind of like talismans? No, they were used as currency, Kyle. Definitely used as currency. The people who wanted currency were not necessarily the Egyptians, although they did, by the Ptolemaic period, they were using coins. But in the earliest days, coins were used to pay the mercenaries because they were from other countries and they wanted coins. So that's how it started. But then after a while, everybody's using the coins. Let's see. No. I'm just picking out the pertinent ones here. Are similar positions attested in other parts of the Roman Empire? Says Christian. Not. I don't. Well, let me think. There were prefects of various areas, but I'm trying to think of. This is not my area of knowledge, but I'm trying to think of an example where there's a prefect in a conflict area. I'm assuming there was. But I think when it says this is a position that they have not found before, it means at this particular location, right? So maybe they're making a bigger deal out of it than it is. But yeah, I think there were prefects in other areas that we know about. Coins never stop being talismans. That's kind of true there, Mandy. Yeah. Okay, let's take a look at another one, shall we? Archaeologists reveal ancient moon pyramids' astronomical secrets. Okay, so now this is not an archaeological discovery. This is a study of an ancient building, in this case, that we already knew about. Okay, so this is a historical discovery about the moon pyramid at Teotihuacan. Okay, you've probably heard of Teotihuacan. Archaeologists have shed new light on the astronomical alignments of a spectacular ancient pyramid in Mexico. It's the Pyramid of the Moon. You've probably seen it before. You can see it there in the picture. Maybe you can get a better picture here. There's a map. Okay, there we go. Well, actually, we're sitting on the Pyramid of the Moon in this picture. Okay, that's the Pyramid of the Sun in the background. Okay. Stock image showing the Pyramid of the Moon. There it is. So this is on the end of the Street of the Dead, the Avenue of the Dead, as it's called. Okay, it goes in a straight line, and on one end is the Pyramid of the Moon. And then if you're on the pyramid, if you're standing on the Pyramid of the Moon, looking down the road. To the left, you will see the Pyramid of the Sun. Now, the Pyramid of the Sun gets all the attention because it's bigger. Oh, the Pyramid of the Sun, and people look for astronomical alignments there. Not a lot of attention has been had on the Pyramid of the Moon until now, which they think the particular authors here. There's actually a documentary on this you can watch. The researchers here say that the Pyramid of the Moon is more important. All right, and let's see the part where they show their discoveries. Based on their findings, the researchers propose that the northeast and southwest vertices of the Pyramid of the Moon align exceptionally with the position of the sun in the sky at sunrise on the summer solstice and sunset on the winter solstice, respectively, as well as important points in the surrounding landscape. For example, during the summer solstice, the longest day of the year, the sun rises at dawn over the Shipwrecks volcano to the northeast when viewed from the top of the Pyramid of the Moon, while at dusk it sets behind the Maninal Hill to the west. Meanwhile, the southwest vertex of the pyramid points towards a hill called Chiconautla. As the sun sets on the winter solstice, it passes over Chiconautla before becoming obscured behind the southern slope of another prominent point, Moctezuma Peak. Anyway, you can read more about it here. Now, the thing I want to say about archaeoastronomy is it's kind of like when we've discussed this before about numbers and measurements and things like that. Things can align with other things. And in order to determine intention, you need more than just the alignments, right? Now, if it's obvious, right? Oh, look it, this lines up perfectly here. It lines up perfectly there, and it's obvious. Then you could probably say that's enough to establish that they did it on purpose. But sometimes people do archaeoastronomy and it lines up with things, but not in the most intuitive way that you would think. And so you wonder, well, did they really mean to do this? In this particular case, I think the alignments look pretty intuitive, pretty natural of what you would expect. But I think I would need just a little bit more to establish that this is what they were doing. Because, what would be the reason? Is it for, planting and harvesting or, rituals or, reasons that they would need to figure out when to do something? They've done that like with the planet Venus and so forth with the Maya. So I'd like to see this a little bit more on this, but I think it's very interesting, and that's why I shared it with you. Dr. Miano, regarding Pumapunku, hope I spelled that right. Yes, you did. Are there still investigations, excavations going on, or has that site been fully researched? I'm not sure on that one. There might still be work going on. See, the Pumapunku is a building. The whole region, the whole city is called Tiwanaku. So I'd be more likely to say that Tiwanaku is being excavated rather than just this one building. The building might be finished, like the work around the building might be done. But Tiwanaku, the larger Tiwanaku, there's probably still things being done at the site. Kyle says, thanks for the answer. I guess I have the preconception of coins being gold, silver, or copper in antiquity, with their purity being very important. Oh, you mean because they were made out of bronze? Oh, bronze still had value. It's not as high value as gold or silver, but it still had value. Yeah. Oh, Brent is in the house. I recently read that an archaeologist blew up parts of the Pyramid of the Sun to excavate it so that what you see on the outside is modern cement. You mean a long time ago? I haven't heard about this recently. Okay. I can't remember the story now, Brent. It may be true. I'd have to double check on that. You're talking about like back several decades ago. That could be. They were less careful back then. Do they have little rooms inside their pyramids? Or are they just big old platforms? There are. Well, they're not rooms. It's not like a temple or a pyramid. You could just walk around inside. But they do in. I can't remember if this is in both pyramids or just the Pyramid of the Moon. There are burials. They're also under the Pyramid of the Sun. There's caves, And there are burials in the caves and other things down in the caves underneath it, not inside of it. But I'm pretty sure that there are things that have been interred inside the pyramids, but not meant to, you're not meant to go in. Yeah. Yes, when it was first discovered. Okay, all right. All right, let's take a look at another one. An Etruscan home discovered in Corsica, first of its kind for the island. Now, you may already know the Etruscans. They were residents of Italy, okay, the peninsula of Italy. And Corsica is off the peninsula. It's on an island. It's an island. Now, it's right across from Etruria, so you would expect that probably Etruscans may have gone to Corsica, but never before have we discovered evidence that Etruscans were living on the island in the period of the Etruscans, and now they know. Okay, so they found a domestic structure dating to the 6th to the 4th centuries BC, so off the east coast of Corsica. Usually when someone says off the east coast, I think of in the water, but they mean inland from the coast. Yeah. They were just building someone's house, I guess, there, and they found it. Yeah. Until now, in Corsica, Etruscan tombs have been found, but not the homes. Oh, okay. I forgot about that. So there were tombs found on Corsica, but not actual homes of people. So they did know the Etruscans were there. They just didn't find a house before. Yeah. So there isn't much left of it, as you can see, but you can tell from the style that it's Etruscan. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Let's look at another. Archaeologists identify Roman wall built to hold back rebel slave Spartacus and his army. I thought this was kind of cool. All right, so here we are in Calabria, in southern Italy. This is, by the way, where my ancestors come from, the Mianos in Calabria. And you can see the remnants of a wall here, right? Going along. Well, they've identified this as a fortification built to contain the slave revolt leader Spartacus and his army. So they're trying to hem him in, you know? So they built a wall. Yeah, it's right in the place where the written records say that the wall was built. Built by the Roman general Marcus Licinius Crassus in 71 BCE. As you may know, Spartacus was in the Roman army, but then he became a bandit. He got caught. He was sold as a slave, didn't accept it. He escaped gladiatorial school and then got a whole bunch of other slaves to join him. Got 90,000 men ultimately, but he was killed by Crassus's forces. And so they have this wall they found. So the wall, now I'm assuming that this is saying they already knew about the wall, but researchers, historians have now identified it with the Spartacus revolt. So this is a historical discovery rather than a new archaeological discovery. They found broken iron weapons, sword handles, large curved blades, and javelin points. Okay? And Visona, this is the researcher, believes he has identified the area where Spartacus and his forces attacked the wall. There's an area where the wall seems to have been breached, he said. So, yeah. Cool when they connect what is found materially with the stories, you know. Let's see. What else we got here? Some hypothesize the Etruscans were basically Greek settlers. They do? I don't think it's a common viewpoint. Let's see here. Crassus's Earthworks. Yeah. Hello from Quebec, Canada. Big fan and first time catching one of your lives. Great. Thank you, Leroy. Good to see you. Let's see. Did the army build the wall or did slaves? The army built the wall. The Roman army that was fighting the slaves. Yeah. To contain them. Okay, let's look at another one here. Okay, you probably saw this on the thumbnail. Recent Bronze Age discoveries unveiled in Kazakhstan. Look at that haunting face there. Yeah. Recent discoveries across the Akmola, Pavlodar, and Karagandi regions don't know if I butchered those pronunciations, have uncovered significant artifacts and burial sites dating back to the Bronze Age. And this face gets all the attention here. A remarkable archaeological find has been uncovered in the Akmola region during a routine inspection as part of the Preventive Ormond campaign. Staff from the Department of Emergency Situations stumbled upon a stone carving depicting a human face. This artifact, dated to the Bronze Age, adds a new dimension to our understanding of ancient art in Central Asia. Okay. Sergei Yarygin, a leading scientist from the Alki Margulan Institute, noted that similar carvings have been found in Bronze Age sites across Central Asia and Eastern Europe. He also pointed to the presence of analogous images in the early Iron Age in southern Siberia and in medieval Turkic cultures. But he emphasized that the exact period of the artifact remains uncertain, as it could belong to various historical epochs, including more recent times. Well, they were saying Bronze Age up there, but maybe it's Bronze Age. Okay. They did find Bronze Age artifacts around it, right? In the Pavlodar region, an expedition led by the Pavlodar Pedagogical University uncovered several rare and valuable artifacts at the Koktas complex. The most notable is a bronze spearhead attributed to the Sagarin Alexeyev culture, dating back to the mid-13th to 8th centuries BCE. So you can see a bit of that there. And you can read up about more of the discoveries in Kazakhstan here. We'll wait to find out now, I guess, if this image, which could very well be, if it's truly ancient, but we have to verify. Came here after watching the Mini-Minute and Pseudo-Archaeology response. Well, welcome, Apurva. Glad to have you with us. Any Romanian archaeology? I remember about a year ago, a Hunnic prince was discovered while a road was being built. Yeah, I think there was. Whenever I find anything, of course, I will share it. But I haven't heard anything from the last month or two. Let's see. Ancient Oxus civilization is fascinating. Not enough attention. That is true. All right, let's look at another one. Unprecedented necropolis site found in Cappadocia, as they say, at the place. One of Turkey's most important tourism centers. You can see part of there. I went to Cappadocia, and there's an episode all about it in the Antiquities Travel Guide from this season, an earlier one, and it's called I don't remember. It might be the one on Darren Kuyu, actually. Anyway, excavations in the central Anatolian province of Nevşehir began 2 years ago. Graves appear throughout Cappadocia's cave churches. We saw a bunch of those. Most graves were carved into the floor after the completion of the church. Oh, I went to the Tokala Church, the Buckled Church. I was right inside there, took some video. Currently in front of the Tokala Church, we have reached a necropolis area. I was standing right there. Yeah. So right in front of that church, they found a necropolis. The most recent discovery was a child's grave with various artifacts. We will exhibit them in our Nevşehir Museum when the works are completed. Oh, you can see it right there. Excavation work continues. But what about the date? Doesn't say. Doesn't say the date. It could be Christian, early Christian. So I'm not sure, though. No date. Okay. All right. Oh, I thought this one was cool. It's a small find. It's just a royal seal. Okay. They're excavating. This is again in Turkey. They're excavating at a site called Kirikala. This is actually a province. Okay. It's in Buklukala ruins. Buklukala is in Kirikala, I guess. Yeah. A Japanese team is working there. The team found a cuneiform seal impression from the Hittite Empire period And there it is. Now, what's a seal impression? When you have a document and you want to send it to someone else, you put a clay seal on it. You hold it together, so it's rolled up, and you put the seal on it. And you don't, basically, when the person that you're sending it to gets it, they look and they see if the seal is still on it or whether it's been broken, meaning someone read it, right? Well, this apparently was an important document. We don't have the document. We just have the seal, but the seal impression. And it says, whoever breaks this will die. So what does that tell you? It tells you that whatever document was sealed with this piece of clay must have been important. Don't know what it was, but it must have been important. So that's pretty cool. It's written in Luwian hieroglyphs. Yeah. It's this, the great king Tabarna or Tavanana writes this. So it's Tavanana is a woman, Tabarna is a man. I guess they can't read that part, but that's whose seal it was. So it's coming from a king or queen from Hattusha. So that's really cool. They found Hurrian tablets also at Buklukala. So hopefully we'll hear more about those coming up. Very nice. It makes an impression. Yes, Jason. Sitting Stan says, hello, Dr. Miano. I don't often make the live streams. This one is a treat for me. I love both the Etruscans and the Hittites. And you got something from each. Yes. What knowledge can we extract from finding a particular seal being found in a certain geographical region? Well, it depends on what the seal says and what images it has on it, Apurva. And so this particular one, we don't learn a lot. We just learn that, well, if we didn't know about the existence of this king and queen, we would now know it. If we already knew about their existence, then we just know that they sent an important document to this place. So it came from the capital, Hattusha, but it's found here in another place, Buklukala. So they probably sent it to somebody here, but we don't know who. That's the problem. Dr. M resisting the urge to do impression. What was I doing before? Okay. Serious bureaucrats, those Hittites. Is that not cuneiform? Oh, they said cuneiform in the article, didn't they? That looks like Luwian hieroglyphs to me. That does not look like cuneiform. Did it say cuneiform? Yeah, cuneiform writing. Though there are wedge shapes. Cuneiform just means wedge shapes. But, well, you know what? The four together here looks kind of like. But boy, maybe it is cuneiform. I'm not used to seeing cuneiform like that. It's very unusual. Now, maybe there's a Hittite version of cuneiform? But my first guess would be Luwian hieroglyphs, but maybe I'm wrong. Huh. I'm glad you asked, though. But yeah, they're saying cuneiform here. Now, I will say this website, Archaeo News, is Turkish, and I think a lot of the articles are translated from Turkish into English. So maybe it came out wrong. I don't know. I'm not sure. But that does not look like cuneiform to me. Enigma Seeker, thank you for the $2. I'll be uploading an essay, a Gwynne Griffiths essay for you. Uploading it where? I don't want you to put an essay in the chat. It's not the place for it. Dear Ea Nashir, the copper bars you sent me was of inferior quality. You're thinking about the Koltepe tablets. Yeah. Well, let's take a look at another one here. Exceptional excavation season in Antikythera. Now, you remember the Antikythera mechanism? You all know about the Antikythera mechanism. Well, the ship on which it was found is still being worked on down there underwater. They're finding more things from that ship. Who knows if they find another piece to it? You never know. Anyway, this is about the 2024 expedition. They carried it out from May to June, and this is their report. Okay. They found a portion of the hull with its original fasteners and external protective coating still in excellent condition. It's made up of planks and frames in their original position and still attached, which allows scientists to think that the construction methodology used at the time was the so-called shell first. The builders first made the hull with the boards and then installed the ribs inside. Nowadays, we proceed in reverse. So this is cool. Yeah. A second wreck site confirmed. They found another shipwreck nearby. Okay? Because the search extended over a wide area, about 200 meters away is another shipwreck. And they found 300 objects, including 21 marble fragments, numerous fragments, and other structural elements of the ship's hull, and more than 200 ceramic shards. Not another mechanism, unfortunately. But I thought it was interesting that they're working on the Antikythera shipwreck. Yeah, you can see some pictures here. And then another shipwreck, the Kyrenia. Is it Kyrenia? Kyrenia shipwreck. We already knew about this, so this is a historical discovery. They took some radiocarbon dates. They updated the radiocarbon dates, okay, using new calibration techniques to get a better, more accurate date for when the ship sank, okay? It was found in the 1960s, okay? Archaeological evidence pointed to a date of about 300 BCE for the ship's final voyage, but previous radiocarbon dating efforts have not lined up with the archaeological evidence. Okay, and they thought this was because of outdated radiocarbon calibration data. So they redid the work. Okay, they applied new tree ring samples, modern dating techniques. They revised the calibration data, then figured out when the ship sank, and they came up with a date of 280 BCE, slightly later than previous estimates. But it still works out with the archaeology. Okay. They also dated another Greek shipwreck, the Mazotos ship, and estimated an age around 370 for its last voyage. Again, slightly later than indicated by previous research. So we're getting better at narrowing down the dates for things, and that includes shipwrecks. Yeah. The new Indiana Jones movie features the mechanism. It's cheesy, though. Yes, it does. Yeah, it's a bit sci-fi. Yeah. They go back, they use the Antikythera mechanism to go back in time. Yeah. I was actually kind of enjoying the movie up until it got a little bit too far-fetched for me. Yeah. Shipwrecks are always cool. Great time. The Mediterranean must be full of classical age wrecks. I would expect so. Yeah. Coming soon, YouTube videos claiming a Nintendo controller was found in the wreckage. All right, let's look at another one, folks. Inscriptions and reliefs of pharaohs from the New Kingdom and the Late Period discovered under the waters of the Nile in Aswan. This is in southern Egypt. Look at that. Can you see the hieroglyphs there? Under the water. Yeah. The joint Egyptian-French archaeological mission has made a significant discovery under the waters of the Nile in Aswan. They found inscriptions and reliefs of important pharaohs, including Amenhotep III, Tutmosis IV, Psamtik II, and Apries. The discovery occurred during a pioneering project of archaeological and photographic exploration in the area, focused on the rock inscriptions located between the Aswan Dam and the High Dam. This is a good idea because once stuff is underwater, the water is going to erode it slowly, right? And the sooner you get down there to photograph it, the better. They reported that the mission began its first season of work around the island of Philae and Knossos. Thanks to the good state of conservation of the inscriptions, the team has managed to fully document the texts. So they got pictures of all the hieroglyphs now, which they can send to hieroglyph experts who can read them, and we're going to get more historical information. I love it when they find inscriptions. The mission used advanced technology during its activities. Among the techniques employed were, well, diving isn't an advanced technology, but archaeological surveying, underwater photography and video, as well as photogrammetry and archaeological drawing. These tools allowed the identification and documentation of rock inscriptions, both submerged and partially submerged in the Nile. Hard to see a little bit on that one. And there's some video too you can watch. I'm going to leave links to all of these at the underneath the video when I'm done. So, oh, we've got a donation here from Ancient Vacuum. Thank you for the $10. Very much appreciated. Do you believe the Great Flood was rising oceans and hides a great aridification? What great flood are you talking about, Ancient Vacuum? There have been many great floods throughout history. Anyway, those of you who would like to help out the channel, you can do what Ancient Vacuum did. Or if you want me to see your question, you can do that as well with a super thanks or super sticker. You can support the channel. All of your contributions are much appreciated. It helps keep the channel going because this is an audience-supported channel. From what I've researched, the Great Flood happened at the end of the Ice Age. Oh, you're talking about the Graham Hancock stuff. Yeah, there is no evidence for at least not a global flood at the end of the last Ice Age that I've been able to find, and I've been looking. Okay. Oh, and then Enigma Seeker says that, no, the Great Flood was caused by the Santorini eruption. There was a flooding then, Enigma Seeker. That's true, around 1600 BCE. But it wasn't the size of flood that they're talking about. I remember reading about the moving of Abu Simbel, says Ron, quite a feat back in the 60s. Yeah, that it would have been completely flooded, that Abu Simbel temple, but they took it apart, moved it upland a bit where it was out of the water, and reconstructed it. Can you imagine? Big project, but they didn't want it to be destroyed. But other things that were not considered as important did get flooded, and that's why we're doing things like this. All right, let's look at another one here. Scans reveal secrets of Roman surgeons' beautiful and functional tools. This is about medical tools, okay? But researchers have been studying Roman medical tools, okay, used by their surgeons. A team at the University of Exeter used state-of-the-art scanning technology to examine the 6 medical instruments, which include a bronze scalpel handle, 2 surgical probes, 2 needles, and a spoon. These investigations revealed the intricate design and workmanship of the tools, casting light on how they might have been used by the Roman medics in ancient Britain. Now, these objects were found 125 years ago. So this is, again, one of those examples of you have an archaeological discovery, but then we finally get around to studying it with modern techniques. And yeah, these medical instruments illustrate aspects of Roman medical practice, not just ideas and theories, but the kinds of interventions into bodies that occurred in the Roman world. They show that these practices were empire-wide. Roughly the same instruments are found in Italy, Britain, and Syria, for example. And the population of Londinium had access to similar medical provisions as other cities in the Roman Empire. So I thought that was interesting. Stunning Tong Dynasty mural in tomb unearthed in China may portray a Westerner man with blonde hair. Now, the Westerner part's interesting, but just the revealing of the mural. Now, they found this tomb earlier, but they've just made public the images of the art. So an ancient brick tomb decorated with murals was discovered in 2018 during roadworks on the outskirts of the city of Taiyuan, not Taiwan, Taiyuan, in China's northern Shanxi province. So you can see the artwork on the tomb walls here. Pretty good condition. The tomb includes never before seen depictions of daily life, including men threshing grain and making noodles. This Tang Dynasty is from 618 to 907. One of the murals depicts what appears to be a Westerner with blonde hair and a beard who probably hailed from Central Asia, they think. Now, I guess it's this guy here on the bottom right, washing something. They're doing chores. Yeah, but notice he has light hair. I think he might be a Westerner. But art illustrates a lot about, like, you can learn a lot from art, like what people did. Like, it's showing how they did things. Many of these artifacts no longer exist, like the tools and all that, but you can see how people use them. So it's very cool. So that's from China. Do they mean Lake Nasser when they refer to the Nile in Aswan? Um, I'm assuming the lake is part of it, but it might be even beyond the lake as well. Were these inscriptions submerged by the modern data? I'm pretty sure they were, Kevin. Okay. Let's see. I probably wouldn't think the surgical tools beautiful if they were about to be used on me. Probably true. Probably true. True. I'm referring to the supposed Great Flood that happened like 12,000 years ago. Yeah, I know, Mond, but that flood has not, at least not a global flood, that has not been scientifically verified. Morgan, you're extremely sheltered. I'm guessing when you spend your whole... well, let's be nice, everybody. 12,000 years ago, seas started rising. Yeah, there was a slow rising of the sea, but not a great flood. Yeah, at least as far as we can tell yet at that time. Thanks to you two and some other professors, I stopped believing that Graham Hancock nonsense, says Dougie. Okay, I'm seeing some insults going back and forth here, folks. I don't like it. Could the blonde-haired man have been a Tocharian, since they tended to have Indo-European features? I think this is too late for that. Tocharians are much earlier, but there were Central Asian people that had genes that came from the West, like the Turks and people like that came into China. They did have genes from the West, from light-skinned people and so forth. So that's how a lot of these people came into China. It's probably what they're talking about when they said from Central Asia. Is that video that you made about the culture war and how politics ruins history still up? Yes, it is, John. It's called When Ancient History Gets Politicized. Yeah. Got to be some great stuff to be found in China yet. Absolutely. China's actually, of all the countries, Egypt is close, but I think China has been finding a lot more than most because they've been really stepping up their archaeology. They've got archaeological digs going on all over the place. And they're a bigger country than Egypt. So even though Egypt has a lot to find, China's been just all over the place finding things. It's been great. Here I am, paid a 10 and got ignored. Ancient Vacuum, I responded directly to you. I responded directly to what you said. Did you not hear me? All right, let's look at another one here. Archaeologists discover one of the earliest Christian buildings in Bahrain. Is it Bahrain or Bahrain? I think it's Bahrain, but yeah, this is in the Arabian Gulf. Christianity today is not something usually associated with the Gulf, but the Church of the East, sometimes called the Nestorian Church, thrived until large-scale conversion to Islam began to occur around 610. Radiocarbon dating indicates the building in Samahij, Bahrain, was occupied between the mid-4th and mid-8th centuries when it was abandoned after the population converted to Islam. So you can see it there, what's left of it. The excavations by British and Bahraini archaeologists under a mound in a village cemetery revealed a large building with 8 rooms surviving. It's possible that the building was the palace of the bishop of the diocese, of which Samahij was part, called Mashmaig in the historical sources. Interesting. Records indicate that the relationship between Mashmaig and the central church authorities was not always smooth, with a bishop there excommunicated in 410. And in the mid-7th century, another bishop condemned for challenging the unity of the church. The building was well constructed with stone walls, plastered inside, and with plaster floors. Sockets and holes indicated where doors and benches had been fixed internally. Occupants had a good standard of living. Yeah, so, oops. I thought that was interesting as well. Early Christian church in Bahrain. Uh, Bahrain is pronounced like rain. You were right. Ah, good. Okay. Good. People still want to give the government more money and power and claim to be anti-corporation private. Doesn't seem to be anything about archaeology there. There is this old man on YouTube, History Debunks, that said recently that the Chinese civilization actually was never great because they borrowed tech from Europeans that went there in chariots. I don't think that's going to check out upon further investigation, John. History Debunks, huh? That might be worth a visit. Nestorians are interesting, says Brent. They are. A lot of people forget about that church. They know about the Roman Catholic Church. They know about the Byzantine Church, the Orthodox Church, Eastern Orthodox Church, but they don't know about the Church of the East very much, and that's a very interesting church. Fenny, from my understanding of sea level rise and fall, that this was from over 1 million years ago and ended to today's level at 600,000 years ago. That's out of my area, so I'm not sure, Fenny. All right. Yvette Chambers. I'm interested in all of them, but the Antikythera mechanism is interesting because it's, I think, the earliest known device for complex mechanical calculation. Yeah, well, I mean, they had what do you call them, abacuses and things like that. But you're right; it's definitely more complex. I wonder if they got to leave in peace. I'm not sure who you're talking about. China has also has been having tons of paleontological discoveries too lately. Yeah. Also, he and others say Africa never achieved anything. Okay, this guy sounds like a white supremacist, doesn't he? Kind of sounds like that. There's also Survive the Jive. I know about Survive the Jive. That is iffy every now and then. Survive the Jive, as I understand it, is he's pagan. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Not that there's anything wrong with that. But I think well, I don't know. I don't know enough about him to say that he is biased one way or the other. I haven't seen enough of his videos to really tell. So I will just zip my lip on that one. Ancient Chinese invented paper, dynamite, steel, etc. That's right, Brent. When do you think the Christian community of Malabar began? They claim ancestry back to the Apostle Thomas, yet they speak Syriac, which I don't think existed until the 2nd century. It was very common in early Christianity for churches to trace their origins back to apostles. And they all have their favorites, like, well, our church goes back to the apostle so-and-so, and our church goes back to the apostle so-and-so, but there's no way to verify any of that, right? It adds prestige to your church. It adds antiquity to your church, and everybody wants that. Everyone's trying to be older, So you got to take it with a grain of salt because we're not exactly sure, because we can't prove that any of that's true, It's not saying it didn't happen, but it's kind of, you can't know, Survive the Jive is good. Survive the Jive is a cool dude. I'm sure he is. I recently had an interaction with him, and it wasn't actually terrible or anything. He put a copyright strike, he put a copyright strike on me. I used one of his images, and I should have asked his permission, and I didn't. So it was my fault. So he got my video shut down. Yeah, that was my politics video. I'm pretty sure that was the one. And then YouTube, there was some glitch or something, and then they wouldn't remove the copyright strike for a long time, and there was a whole hassle. But he helped to get it back up, so I give him credit for that. So, I have nothing against him. Why am I gossiping? I shouldn't be gossiping. Okay. Lots of comments here now. Everyone's coming in. Hi, Professor Miano. I enjoyed a lot of the latest episodes of Myths of Ancient History. You are my favorite YouTuber now. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. I'll try to keep up the output. We can thank Christians for manuscripts and literacy through the Dark Ages, even though Marx doesn't like it. Everyone has to always make a jab. All right. Does that mean European cultures weren't great because we borrowed Chinese inventions? See, all this kind of talk. Go watch my politics video, okay? Please go watch that. Everything was invented in India. See what I'm talking about, folks? See what I'm talking about? I'm excommunicating. The Chinese did invent gunpowder. Dynamite came much later in the 19th century, says Kevin. Baal was a title, not a name. You're right. It means Lord, Master. Hadad, son of El, was what it usually referred to. Yes, that was his actual name. Also, Elohim means children of El. That's not definite. It actually means gods. The actual meaning of Elohim is gods. But sometimes it's used for the God of the Israelites, one, and they think it's plural to express majesty. Okay. But I know what you're talking about. You're talking about this idea that in some early inscriptions and writings, maybe Elohim were the children. Not that it meant children of El, but that they were the children of El. Okay. I can't keep up with all these comments. There's a lot of them. So let's just go to another piece of news. 5,000-year-old temple built before the Inca, discovered in Peru. Take a look. So there you can see it. A new temple in Peru. This is quite old. The date is 5,000 years, so that makes it 3,000 BCE. Okay. The temple walls are made from smashed mud, archaeologists said. You can see a piece of art here from the temple. This is from the formative period in ancient Peru. And it's located outside the city of Chiclayo. Yeah. So that was a pretty interesting discovery. I'll leave that for you there. This is another one from Pompei. Earthquakes made Vesuvius's eruption at Pompei even more deadly. This is kind of funny. Like, you're like, if you didn't think the volcano was enough, we're going to tell you about some more terrible things that happened to the people of Pompei. The excavation of 2 skeletons with severe fracture and trauma injuries has provided new insights into the destruction of Pompei. A new study in Frontiers in Earth Science reports the injuries are consistent with the building collapsing caused by earthquakes. Okay. So, yeah, there probably are earthquakes associated with a volcanic eruption. Well, these 2 guys were killed by the building falling in on them from an earthquake. That's basically what the study has determined. I think it's 2 men. That's how I remember it. But it just says 2 individuals, so I'm not sure. Oh, yeah, 2 male skeletons. All right. Both about 50 years old. Maybe they were brothers. Maybe they were friends. But the building fell in on them. I don't know what is a worse way to go. But, yeah. So that was kind of an interesting discovery from this month. And then we have 4,000. Oh, where's my ad blocker supposed to be working here? Let's refresh this. There we go. 4,000-year-old giant monolith found near brutally murdered woman's ancient. Don't you love these headlines? They want you to click on it, right? So they talk about giant monoliths and brutally murdered woman. Okay. Yeah, the woman was murdered brutally. Okay. Yeah, so you can see the site here. This is in Cyprus, the island of Cyprus. Archaeologists have discovered the ancient remains of a young woman who appears to have been murdered before being sealed inside buildings. So I'm not sure if the murderer was hiding the body or if this was a place to bury them. The latest discovered victim of this grisly practice. Oh, it's a practice. So I guess it is a burial practice that is talking about here. They had another one unearthed at the Bronze Age site of. Oh wait, no, this is the one of Eremi, where researchers also came across a mysterious. You notice how they always have to use the word mysterious. 7.5 foot high monolith that they estimate was erected some 4,000 years ago. Is that it there? That looks like this looks like a reconstruction. That doesn't look like maybe that's a reconstruction of the monolith. Would they have made one already? I'm not sure about that one. The young woman whose battered corpse was walled up inside her home, possibly in an attempt to prevent her spirit from haunting the town. So it was a burial practice. Having had her head smashed with a rock or spear, the victim, who was no older than 20 years of age, then had a heavy stone placed upon her dead body as if to keep her still. Yeah. This is not an isolated case, as they say that the bodies of at least 15 other young women from that same period in history have been discovered in similar circumstances in different parts of the island. But I didn't get a good shot of the monolith here, so sorry about that. So that's in Cyprus. Let's see what you have to say about this. Oh, got tons of comments. Okay. You're talking about some other things. What do you think about the stone nubs that were carved into megalithic architectures in Peru? Probably just decoration. I'm not sure which ones you're talking about. Some of them are handling bosses when you find them on stones. Sometimes they're decorative. Yeah. Those are the two most common reasons. Everyone's talking about who invented what first. Yeah. Okay. Let's go on to another one here. Rome unearthed ruins of an ancient garden linked to Caligula. Yes, the Garden of Caligula, the Roman emperor. The ruins of an ancient Roman garden likely owned by Emperor Caligula have been excavated as part of a major construction project near the Vatican. So this is right in the city. They unearthed the travertine wall and the foundations of a colonnaded portico, described by the ministry as the remains of an interesting garden arrangement. Yeah, so during construction they found this. And look at that inscription. Okay. The discovery of a lead water pipe stamped with the name of the owner of the water supply and the garden point to Caligula. He was called Germanicus. Yeah, you can see part of Germanicus here. Caesar, you see that? Yeah. So there we go. Oh, here it is. This inscription reads, Caesar, it's Caesar Augustus Germanicus. Okay. It's therefore Caligula, son of Germanicus and Agrippina the Elder. Yeah. So that's pretty cool. Caligula's garden. I've got 4 more to share with you. I'm kind of going a little slow, and then we will say goodbye. All right, ancient cheese discovered in Kayseri shows continuity in practices. So we're talking about the place. It's in Turkey. It's a place called Koltepe. Sometimes it's called Kanesh or just Nesha. This is a site where there was a city here, a town here. But there were Assyrians that were living here too, that were merchants, traders, and they would travel back and forth between Assyria and here. And they found a whole bunch of tablets here, right? And the tablets have been studied. They've been studied for years, so they're finding new things all the time. But now they're talking about finding out about this cheese, okay? A unique cheese that they're calling Koltepe cheese. That's the name of the site. Okay. He explained that the tablets indicated a specialized cheese that was an essential part of life in the region. Okay. This is 4,000 years old. All right. The cheese is interesting because they used it when they were traveling. So they would take this cheese with them. I guess it holds well, okay, in the warm weather. And they would take this cheese with them. And it was, like their provisions, part of their provisions, while they're going back and forth. So Koltepe cheese. So those of you who are interested in food history, you can read up on that. Mysterious, I gotta refresh this. Mysterious Maya underground structure. Another headline with the word mysterious in it. They always do that. But you know what? I shouldn't talk. I have in the past put the word mysterious in a thumbnail or in a title to get people to click on it. Archaeologists in Campeche, Mexico, have found an underground structure beneath a Maya ball court. Okay, you can see a LiDAR image here. showing the site with the ball court where parts of an underground structure were found. A mysterious subterranean structure with painted walls was beneath this ball court. They played the Maya ball game there. We located parts of an earlier building that had painted walls, but only further excavations may reveal the shape of that building and what its function was. So they don't know what it is yet, but they were excited about it because it could date back to the early classic period, 200 to 600 AD. So it's one of the early Maya sites. So they're excited about it, and they found some artifacts from it. Okay. This is at a place called Okomtun. Okay. A lost Maya city that had several large pyramids from the Maya classic period. This is south of Okomtun. This same team who found the lost city of Okomtun. So this is a city that they knew about that existed, but they didn't know where it was. They found it in 2023, but now they found this other site south of there that's from the same time period. Yeah, so that's pretty cool too. Then we got a mummified crocodile whose stomach contents they analyzed. Okay. And in the stomach of the mummified crocodile, this is from Egypt, they found a bronze fishing hook. You can see it on the right here. There it is. You know what's interesting about this is that we still make fishing hooks that kind of look like that, don't we? They kind of still look like that. But they were using it in ancient Egypt. Yeah, so there was a crocodile with this. They have other things in its belly too. They had some fish that was in there that they were able to figure out what fish it was eating. It also swallowed some stones. Okay. They're calling them gastroliths. The fish were swallowed whole. So, yeah, it's kind of interesting. You just take a mummified crocodile because it's preserved well from the mummification, and you can find out about crocodiles from the time. This is between 2,000 and 3,000 years old, this crocodile. And then finally, we have archaeological survey detecting Roman villas and Iron Age farmsteads in Shropshire. Okay. So they did a 1,000 hectare, that's a 2,471 acre survey. Oh, can I do this? Yeah. In England. And you can see from this aerial shot some of the walls from structures. These are Roman structures that they found here. Did they use LiDAR? Doesn't look like they used LiDAR. But it looks like this looks like LiDAR. It's geophysics data. Yeah, so they found all kinds of things. So they haven't dug them up yet. Okay, but this is the first step in archaeology, right? You do a scan or, survey of some kind, and you find out where things are, and that's where you know where to dig. And then you go and dig, and then you can find things there. Archaeologists don't just go to a random place and start digging and well, maybe we'll find a city here. That doesn't work that way. You have to go where you think there's going to be something. And this technology helps us to figure out, what's there and where. And so, anyway, so I thought I'd share that with you too. Back to the comments. Got a bunch more. Yes, fishing hook advances have been negligible over the course of the last 5,000 years. Wow, they really did use bronze for everything. I know, right? This is good for fish baiting headlines to see what will stand truth-wise. It's good to think rationally. In some of the days and weeks and months of putting faith in God, I'd pray for my arm surgery to go back to my normal arm like if I hadn't had surgery. Not sure what you're talking about, Morgan. But it sounds interesting. Resistivity scan, I assume? Could be. With funding for all these less significant sites, why don't we spend more money excavating Göbekli Tepe? You got to ask Turkey that, but I think they do spend a lot of money excavating Göbekli Tepe. Quite a bit, in fact. Did you? I shared a few months ago. I shared discoveries we had from Göbekli Tepe. Their last season was in 2023, and I'm expecting them to have a 2024 season. But they found some cool things there this past year. Um, Doctor, you need a moderator for this chat. Lots of trolls attacking what was mostly a fun and constructive chat. This has been the worst yet. Sorry, Whippalicious, you are right. I often do have a moderator, but I didn't have one this time around. And I saw people were going after each other, which I didn't like. Please, people, try to concentrate on the archaeology here. Could be a magnetic scan, says Glenn. Glenn, good to see you. As it looks like a lot like the geophysics image time team used to produce. Okay. If the fish was eaten whole, then what? Then was they being fed by people? Well, I think somebody was fishing, probably Phil, had a fish on the hook, and then the croc came up and bit the fish and took it off the hook, swallowed the hook with it. Could be what happened. Arendelle says, this was great. So glad I finally made it to the live stream. Thank you, Arendelle. Arendelle has been helping me with writing of my Antiquities Travel Guide lately, so want to thank her for that publicly. How many lost texts are still out there, do you think? I think there are tons of lost texts out there. All kinds. And I can't wait till they're found. What did the Hyksos refer to their kings as? What do we have? Well, here's the thing about the Hyksos, Ruruni. When they came into Egypt, they adopted Egyptian customs, and they used the Egyptian language, so it would have been the same as the Egyptians. Yeah. What do we have evidence of pre-pharaonic regnal titles surviving into later times? Not sure about that one. Pre-pharaonic, you mean in Egypt? Regnal titles before Pharaoh? They used the word Pharaoh? A lot of those titles were kept all through Egyptian history. In my opinion, it's better to explore a lot of different sites a little rather than exploring one site deeply. Well, there are arguments that can be made both ways, but it's good to kind of get an overall view, isn't it? But there are archaeologists already doing both, so this is good. What about the super chats? Did I miss some? Did I miss some super chats? Let me go back. We got one from Jason. $5. Thank you, Jason. World of Antiquity, Cyprus. Execution of a shamanese accused of whatever plague, military defeat, or other problem they were having then. The English is not so great there, Jason. I'm not sure what you're saying. Are you asking if I know about this? I don't know about this. Sorry to say. Do we have another super chat that I missed? I wonder, is there a way to just highlight only super chats? I don't think there is. I thought I got the previous ones. But thank you. Anyone who supports with a super sticker, super chat, I really appreciate it. It helps the channel a lot. Trying to make ends meet here. This is my full-time job. Okay, so it really helps. Have you heard any updates on the Herculaneum scrolls? Asked Jonathan. I haven't heard anything recently. If I do, I will share it in this live stream, the next one that we have, for sure. Hyksos kings appear to have adopted the Egyptian titles such as the Good God and the Lord of the Two Lands, despite never fully conquering the country. From Glenn there. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. I'm going to call it a day here. After I get off, I will post the links to these, so if you want to read more about them, you can. Thank you to all those who donated. Rad, yes, the super chats are highlighted, but they go by like this, So when I'm talking about the archaeology, sometimes they go by. But they are highlighted. Did I miss yours? Rad, did I miss yours? Why don't you ask it right now? Ask your question, and I will answer it right now. You don't have to super chat it. Just write it, and I will answer it, okay? I don't want to leave you in the dust here. Oh, Nadia's got one for $2. Thank you, Nadia. Roxeter equals Viraconium Cornoviorum. Yeah, and I went there, Nadia. I have an Antiquities Travel Guide episode on Viraconium you can check out. It's from my first season. P. Cooper says, all yours, give up the good work. Thank you very much for your donation. Thank you, everybody. I'm waiting for Rad to ask a question, but I'm not seeing it here. Rad, do you got a question? Or were you talking about someone else's super chat? I'm not sure. If I missed you, I apologize. Take care, everybody. Thank you for coming. Red, I'm asking if you have a question. Do you have a question? Whipalicious, thank you so much for the donation. See you later, everybody. Well, Red, I'm not seeing anything, but if you want to put it in the comments later, I'll look for it. See you later, everybody.